Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. Okay, let's talk about these W-4s, guys. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, this is going to be, y'all know I'm straight talk, no chaser, okay? And so this might, tick off a portion of the public, but it is what it is. I'm here to give you my opinion, the way I see it, and you can like it or not, but don't be on here trying to haze me though, because it's not going to work out. All right. So let's talk about W-4s. Okay, so we've seen the advertisements, about leaving money on the table by not filling out your W-4 properly. There is some truth to that, okay? But so let's talk about how all of that looks. So when you're getting a tax refund, okay, if you're getting a huge tax refund, a tax refund period is an overpayment of taxes, okay? It is not an entitlement. It is an overpayment of taxes. So if throughout the year, once you file your taxes and then you have a tax liability of $5,000, but you've had $10,000 withheld, then you're going to have a tax refund of $5,000. That's saying that you paid the government too much in taxes. So it's important for you to know exactly what is producing your refund. Is it an overpayment, or is it a tax credit, okay, or a combination of the two? Because that is really going to make a difference in what you do with your W-4. Now, let me also say you should be reviewing your W-4 annually. Every year. Make it a birthday thing, whatever. It is not a set it and forget it kind of document, because things change. You might have, throughout the year, you might have a new addition to the family. You might have somebody that's getting out the family, right? You might have a kid that's aging out or something. So, they're not worth the credit to you anymore, right? So you got to really understand what's causing the refund when you do get one, because knowing that is going to help you make some different decisions. So with your W-4, you can either increase your allowances or decrease your allowances. When you increase your allowances, that means more money is coming home and less taxes are being taken out. When you decrease those allowances, that means that less money is coming home and more taxes are being taken out. So if it's just you and you single and you don't have no kids and all of that, you should not be claiming 15 exemptions. Okay, you should not. So that's essentially how the W-4 works. Now, there are people that adjust their W-4 twice a year. There are people who increase their allowances over a certain period of time to have more money coming home, and then they decrease them to have less money coming home. So people finagle the W-4 all kinds of ways. But if you don't understand how how your tax refund is being impacted, how your tax dollars are being impacted, then you don't need to be doing all that. Okay. So now, one thing about the tax reform, okay, tax reform has put a lot of people in a bad spot, because what happened with this tax reform is, instead of people going through and adjusting their W-4s themselves, the IRS said, we'll do that for you. Yeah, that was not a favor, because what's happened is that there are a lot of people that are in a situation where they have not withheld enough, and so that they will get a penalty, right? They will get an under withholding penalty. So if you just slept on it, then yeah, you might be one of those people that wound up with either a lower refund or a tax bill that you were not expecting, because you didn't go and look at the math for yourself. Okay. So now, one of the other things that I'm seeing when it comes down to adjusting your W-4 is making an assumption on the business end that you're going to lose money. So there are people who go into business because they hear that going into business is going to increase a tax refund. The only way that works is if you lose money. Now, if you go into business with the intent to lose money, you are really not going into business. The intent to go into business is to turn a profit. If you turn a profit, thou shalt pay taxes. Okay. And you have to prepare for that. So I warn people that, hey, if you have, number one, if you already have a tax debt, you should not be adjusting your W-4, period, because you need to be paying off that tax debt. Okay. Unpaid tax debt. Listen, do not get in hot water with your state or the feds, because the state will garnish your wages faster than the feds will. Let me tell you that for sure. Okay. And so even though you may be working things out, you want to get that tax debt paid off. So if you are in tax debt, I would not be adjusting W-4s, because what that may do for you is further increase your tax debt. And if you're not paying that money, you're just spinning your wheels. Okay. I have had people that wound up with a tax debt they couldn't pay. Then in that next year, they decreased their withholdings so that they could produce a refund and take care of that tax debt. All right. So that is one thing. Number two is, if you have been already claiming losses in business for 2 or 3 years, you definitely need to not be banking on losing money again, because then that is going to put you on the IRS radar. And see, when they're trying to determine if you're a business versus a hobby, one of the things that they look at is, has this person done this type of business before and been successful? And if the answer is no, that's one of the reasons that the IRS can come back and say, okay, no, boo-boo, you have a hobby, not a business. And so we'd like our money back, please and thank you, with penalties and interest, of course. So, so it's not one of those things that you should, do flippantly or take lightly, because if you don't understand where your refund is coming from, if you're planning on losing money, then this is not for you. Like, I need for you guys to get that. Yes, when you get started in business, 9 times out of 10, you will be losing money, because you're investing in your business and you haven't had the opportunity to make money yet. But that is supposed to be a temporary thing, not a perpetual thing. That's why the IRS reviews these tax returns. This is why you hear people say, well, Schedule C returns get audited so much. That's because the potential for fraud is high. There are tax preparers, there are taxpayers that are going to jail on a regular basis for fraudulent returns, for claiming business expenses that they didn't have. Okay, there's the fraudulent part. But also there are hundreds and thousands of taxpayers that are having to pay money back because they have a perpetual losing business. And what happens is when you lose money in your business, then that offsets other income. Okay, that offsets other income that further reduces your tax liability. And the IRS is saying, no, we want our tax money back. Okay, so that's why you have to really look at the big picture of your whole tax situation before you go adjusting your W-4. And especially after this year, because there are going to be a lot of people who are paying the piper on this W-4 thing. They are, because whether they have been losing money in business over a few years, or that, they didn't pay attention during this adjustment, and now they're losing money. The other thing that happened is that with the itemized deductions, with a lot of those being either limited or removed altogether, there are a lot of people that have higher taxable incomes and are now paying higher taxes. And with that original adjustment to their W-4, with the allowances they were claiming, they have a higher tax bill. So if you don't take anything from this live broadcast, number one, if you are an employee, you need to go and check your W-4. You will know when you file your taxes if you need to adjust up or down. And if you say, okay, I can claim more allowances because I got this refund, you need to know why you're getting the refund. If you're getting the refund because of a tax credit, you need to ask yourself, are you going to have that tax credit next year? Because the answer could be no. And I'll give you my personal example. Yes, I actually wound up, I'm getting a refund this year. Woohoo! But I also know that next year, the reason I got the refund ain't gonna be there. So I'm not telling my husband to go adjust anything, right? Because my husband works. I'm not telling him to adjust anything. because I know the math and I know where the money is coming from. So no, I know what's not going to be there next year. And this is what you have to know about your taxes. Okay. You got to know this stuff. You got to know how the limited tax deductions, you got to know how that's impacting your overall tax picture. So going to adjust your W-4 just all willy-nilly is not a good idea. You have to understand some of the math behind your tax return. You have to watch. If you have a business and you're really starting to make a profit, you got to ask yourself, okay, should I tell, whether I'm working or your spouse is working, should I tell them, hey, can you adjust those allowances? Or do I need to set aside a little bit more money for taxes? These are the type of decisions that you have to be conscious in making, because nobody is going to remind you about your W-4. HR isn't going to call you and say, hey, listen, I don't think we're withholding enough from your taxes, so you should come and adjust these allowances. This is your responsibility to know. So I do have people who have come to me and say, hey, should I do this? And I'm saying, based on your history, no, you should not be adjusting your W-4. If you do, you need to claim fewer allowances so that you can eat away at this tax debt, so that you actually can produce a refund so that you can eat away at this tax debt. So yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, I have a question. I think it's a good one because and again, in your overall big picture, if you are a small business owner, how often should you consult with your tax professional? Quarterly. You should consult with your tax professional quarterly. You should also be reviewing your numbers quarterly. You should be reviewing your income, your expenses, all of that stuff quarterly. Because see, if you go and you have this total boss out year, right? So you go and then you get to the end of the year and you don't realize that you bossed out, and then you went and spent all your money and you don't have any tax money saved up. Guess what? You're going to be in hot water. You cannot sleep on your business. You can't sleep on your business. You can't sleep on your household money. You can't sleep on this W-4. You cannot do that. You know why? Because this tax season in 2019, people that slept on their W-4 are now crying the blues. And a lot of people didn't even realize there was an adjustment made. A lot of people don't even realize that, hey, because of the shift in tax brackets, even though every tax bracket got a tax deduction, you got bumped up to a higher tax bracket because you went to sleep. So yeah, absolutely. You should be reviewing your W-4 annually. Make it a birthday appointment for you to remember. You should, as a business, you should be reviewing your numbers quarterly, and absolutely consulting your tax professional quarterly to say, hey, here's what I got going on. Even if it's a 5-10 minute, say, hey, here's what I got going on. Do I need to do anything different? Answer is no. Okay, great. Oh, hold on a minute. Yeah, you need to do something different. We need to really sit down and talk about it. Because the last thing you want to do is get to December 31st or get to the tax table and realize that you got a tax bill to pay that you're not prepared for. So I'm really hoping that you take from this that if you have a business and you are also working, or if you're in business and your spouse is working, you need to look at the math this year and figure out what you need to do. And it's going to be different for everybody. Okay. There are going to be some people that, yeah, we can adjust this W-4. We can have more money coming home. And there are going to be people that, nah, we think we need to leave stuff alone. Right? But in either case, if you adjust your W-4 to claim more allowances and have more money coming home, and you're going to produce a tax bill, if you're not disciplined enough to set that money aside to pay for your taxes, you need to not do it. Absolutely not. Okay? So I really hope this helps you out, gives you something to chew on and whatnot. So thank you so much for tuning into Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish, and you can come right here, right there, and get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. Have a great day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.